In today's video, I'm going to present to you a housing market update. So we are going to look at home prices, mortgage rates, and what the home inventory is doing these days. So these are the type of articles you see in the media today. This one is from Yahoo Finance from April. It says that when will the housing market crash again? Here's one from Business Insider just recently. Here's the latest state showing how the US housing market has frozen over in 2025. And of course, this one from June 25th from Reuters. New home sales fall to 7-month low in May and supply increases. Well, what does all this mean? Let's talk about it. As you may already know, there has been a lot of policy changes too with the Trump administration. There's been policy changes, there's been tariffs, and there's forced moves on policies like the force on changing of interest rates. How is that affecting as well? These changes are affecting the stock market, the housing market, and the bond markets. To be honest with you, the way the housing market looks, it is frozen. Sellers are stuck. They are not being able to sell because the inventory is going up. Buyers are stuck because the rates are still high. They're still at 6.7, 6.8, 7%. Home affordability is low. And at the same time, inventory is going up. But even though the inventory is going up, the house prices are still going up. And we'll talk about that later. But there's a big freeze out there in the housing market right now. So let's start with the housing inventory. As you can see, buyers and sellers dynamics have shifted. Right now, as of June 2025, there are more sellers out there than there are buyers. According to this chart, there are 1.94 million sellers out there, but there's only 1.4 million buyers out there, which has reversed. There used to be more buyers than sellers. That means the market, it has shifted. And let's see what happens as we go along. If you look at the new home inventory, which is very important to the housing economy, new home sales inventory has been rising significantly. Newly built home inventory continues to rise. This is in months supply. Back in May 2024, there was 8.5 months of newly built homes for sale in the market. But as of May 2025, that has gone up almost to 10 months. That means the new home sales have slowed down, which is a big impact. Even though you may know new home builders are giving slashed interest rate, they are giving a lot of credit in home options and closing cost. And even with those, the inventory has gone up. So this is a big shift that is worrisome. Let's look at this inventory when it comes to existing home sales. Active housing inventory for sale compared to pre-pandemic levels. Metro shift between June 2019 and June 2025. As you might have heard, Florida, Texas, Denver, those markets prices have actually dropped. And the reason is because there's a high level of inventory. If you look at the chart here in green, Florida is full of home inventory increase. If you look at Texas, there's a big increase. Denver has a big increase. In reverse, the Northeast right now is doing very well. There's a lot of sales and homes are increasing. And why is that? If you look at Chicago, the inventory is down. Cleveland inventory is down. Rochester inventory is down. And that's why people are driving out there, moving out there, buying over there because the home prices are still low over there. And inventory is not enough, but they're buying the lower priced home compared to other areas. If you look at Southern California, where I'm at, the inventory is kind of neutral, which means home prices are not really dropping and home prices are not really jumping either. 2 homes I sold, on both the offers that we made, there were multiple offers. They were priced well, and both these homes that I sold over $100,000. Of course, the list price was 1.1, but Southern California is strong, but overall nationwide, inventory has risen. Home prices have slowly dropped, not that much, and in some areas, they are still going up. So the big question is, if inventory is rising, why aren't the home prices crashing? If buyers cannot afford these homes, inventory is going up, shouldn't the prices come down crashing? Well, let's take a look at it. According to this report from Redfin, it says here that the US housing market overview, the median sales price has gone up $440,910. That is almost 1% more than last year. But the number of homes sold has dropped by almost 5%. The homes sold this year has been so far, and this is counting 12 months, counting May to May, it has dropped 4.5%. And furthermore, the national average 30-year fixed mortgage rate has been at 6.8%. So the question is, why are home prices not crashing? One thing you have to keep in mind if we compare this with 2008 recession, yes, in the last year or so, inventory has gone up significantly. There are more in certain states than other states, but regardless, overall, our national inventory has gone up, which should indicate a price drop. But if you look at the crash in 2008, home inventory was up here. It was like a 12-month supply. We're still down at 3 months supply. So we are still at historic lows. We were way down to 1 month supply, 15-day supply. We've come up to a 3 month supply, which is coming to a normal market. But in 2008, the housing supply inventory was 12 months. So we are significantly low. At the same time, the affordability has been low, but there's still a lot of people who can afford to buy homes. A lot of the buyers are buying homes at 6.5, 6.8%, hoping the rates will drop and then they can refinance. So the market is ongoing. Inventory has risen, but is nothing to be worried about, according to the stats that's talking to us. Real estate is local. What's happening in my area may not be happening in your area. I'd be curious to find out what's happening in your neighborhood, in your local area, or in your metro area. Please comment below to let us know what's happening. Are the prices going down? Are the prices going up? Is inventory high? Is inventory low? And what's the mood of buyers and sellers? Please share with us. You can comment below. Thank you so much. So I want to pause for just a minute and take a look at what is going to happen to the home prices. Of course, we don't know what's going to happen, and we go by what the forecast is. So let's see what the experts are saying. So here's what the experts are saying. According to a forecast done by KCM, Keeping Current Matters, they gathered the data. They say that the home prices in 2025 overall is going to increase. As you can see, the average should be around 2%. The highest forecast was from Fannie Mae at 4.1%. Zillow forecasted a negative 1.4%. Redfin predicted a negative 1%. They are both totally wrong. So far, the data itself is higher. In fact, Redfin is saying that prices have gone up this year, so they kind of misjudge the prediction. But let's move on. HPES, National Association of Realtors, Wells Fargo, Fannie Mae, and Cotality all predicted an increase. But if you look at an average, we are looking at anywhere from 1 to 2% increase this year. Furthermore, let's look at another chart by HPES that's part of Fannie Mae predictions. It says that the estimated home price performance for the next few years, in 2024, they predict a 3.7% increase. They predicted a 3.3% increase in 2025, which is going to be short. But in 2026, they predict a 3.8. 2027, they predict a 4%. And 2028, they predict a 4% increase from each year. So we are still seeing signs from experts that home prices keep going up. I've talked to other brokers. I've talked to other experts. And the talk in the town is overall nationwide, the home prices are going to go up in 2025. All indications, they have gone up. They're still going up. And all indications are that the prices will continue going up regardless of the inventory going up. Of course, keep in mind that I personally don't expect prices to jump 3, 4, 5%, but certainly maybe 1 or 2%. Despite the higher inventory and despite the higher mortgages. The number one reason why I personally think that home prices will go up, because yes, inventory has gone up nationwide, but historically we are still below the normal inventory levels. So if we look at the prediction for the home prices, let's look at the prediction for future of home mortgages, because home mortgages is the bigger factor than the home prices. So let's look at this chart. Don't expect a big drop in mortgage rates. Here are the predictions. As of Fannie Mae predicts that in 2026, rates will be 6.3%. Mortgage Bankers Association, 6.7%. And you can see the average is around 6.5 to 6.4 range, which is good news because this year it has been around 7% or 6.8. If you look at this chart here, it shows here that the mortgage rates expect to stay in the sixes. 30-year fixed mortgage rates projections as of 7/2/2025. And if you look at the end over here, Fannie Mae is forecasting 6.1%, Mortgage Bankers Association is forecasting a 6.4%, Wells Fargo is forecasting a 6.6%. Of course, these are just predictions. We never know what's going to happen to the inventory, to the buyer's affordability. And one thing we know for sure is Donald Trump and his team are trying to force Powell to reduce the mortgage interest rate and the interest rate overall. This has never been done before. So the question is it okay to force something to drive interest rates down? We don't know that. I'm not an expert. I won't even go there. But here's what I'm hearing and here's what's seen in the media. As we know, Trump administration is trying to force Powell to reduce the interest rate. Let's see what happens. We will find out in 2 months, 3 months, maybe in a year. But I would not count on the effect of that yet. So if you're a seller or thinking about selling, what are smart sellers doing these days? Well, here's 3 things they're doing for sure. Number one, they're offering concessions instead of price drops. Before they put their homes on the market, they're preparing the home for sale, they're pricing it right, they're prepping it, staging it, and adding fair market price on their homes. One thing they're not doing is they're not overpricing the homes, and for the sellers who are overpricing their homes, they are dropping the prices to come back to the fair market value in their local neighborhood. By the way, as I mentioned earlier, market is local. If you want to try to find out what's happening in your local market, what's going to happen next year, how are home prices, how are inventories, let me refer you to a local agent. I belong to the top agents referral network. I belong to the top 3% of agents nationwide, and I have a lot of network with these skilled and trained agents, and I can refer you to one in your neighborhood that can give you an insight on what's happening or what may happen so you can make a better decision. Link is in the pinned comment below. One of the things you have to keep in mind, whether you're a seller or a buyer, or a lot of the sellers are home buyers, is that if there is a crash doesn't come overnight. The 2008 recession and the housing crash, it took 5 years for it to crash. So if you're trying to time the market and say, hey, when's the best time to move, or when's the best time to buy or sell and buy, you will never know. The right time to move is when you are ready, willing, and able to. So try not to chase the market because nobody knows when the market is going to crash. And furthermore, it may take 2 years, it may take 10 years. So try not to time the market. Do best for you what's best right now. If your move makes sense financially and emotionally, act, but don't let fear lock you down. A few weeks ago, I did this video and it's got a lot of comments. You may want to read those. It talks about how many homeowners are losing their homes with high, insane mortgage rates. So check it out and let us know what's happening. Have you thought about moving? What's stopping you, or what may or may not make you move? Please comment and share this video. I will really appreciate it. Mike Patel, Home Savvy Central. Sell smart and gain more.